Hi, everyone. So welcome to part 2 of the pinch bowl project. And this is the module where we will decorate our bowls. And so your bowls will become three-dimensional canvases that you'll fill up with design, three-dimensional design. And we're going to do 4 different techniques, not 3 techniques like in the video, but we'll do 4. The first one, not covered in the video, is stamping. And you can use anything to stamp your pot, anything that makes a mark. So like your needle tool or a pen or the other side of the pen or a rock, or you can press your tennis shoe tread into it, or anything that marks can be a stamp, piece of wood, piece of bark. You can get some really stormy surfaces that way. Now, surface design, I have another video called, I think it's called Visual Rhythm, where I introduced how compression and expansion of a repetitive design can really add a lot of movement to a surface. And I show you that so that you get inspired to fill up the entire surface, and not with hodgepodgey stuff, but stuff that belongs together. And so Visual Rhythm will help you with that. And then also I have a demo about how to do the other 3 techniques, which are adding clay, which is just what it sounds like. You add clay onto it. It can be stylized, can be rough hewn, can be whatever. You can add buildings on it. You can add whatever. The second one is carving, which is just the opposite of adding, is you take clay away and you don't scratch into it. You actually remove clay. The third and last one, or the fourth one in this case, because stamping was the first. Fourth one is sgraffito. You paint it with colored slip, let the slip set up, and then you carve or scratch. In this case, if you want to, you can scratch through it, and it exposes the color of the clay underneath the slip. The colored slip we have in the studio, we have orange, blue, green, yellow, black, white, red. So we have different colored slips that are quite lovely. And I'll either give some slip for you to take home in a little container, or you can bring your bowl in and paint it. I'll decide that later. We have some time. So yeah. So let me show you some samples of these 4 different kinds of surface design. I think I'll start with this one. So, and I'll bring this out a little bit more. So this one has, it looks like, I thought maybe originally they had pinched those ridges in, but it doesn't follow inside. I think what they did was they put coils on the outside. Let me make it bigger. They put coils on the outside and then work them in to make these ridges. So that's quite lovely. This is carved. So they kind of scraped clay away to make these really, this is very thin. So, but anyway, they kind of scraped it with their metal rib and took clay away to make these kind of crevices. This is carving right here. This is carved. Some of these might be, it's hard to tell. These are very finely made. I think that's just painted on those lines. Let me keep going here. This is carved. So the trimming tool, just taking clay out. I have another example of that later on in another picture. But look at how small these are, and they get larger. So there's a rhythm to these as well in terms of how they vertically, how they go large and small and like that. And then they put color on their ridges, which is quite lovely, gold luster. This one's carved, and this one has clay added. They put a coil all the way around and then worked it in. Okay. I'm going to start sharing screen and show you the second set of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go bigger. These are carved so much they actually pierced the bowl. It's almost like a like a jack-o'-lantern. They actually went in, made holes. So that's carving, quite lovely. This is stamped with either a pen or a needle tool, something sharp, just all the way around. This is carved with the trimming tool. This is added clay on, these little bumps. They probably got a little slip thing, almost like a cake decorator, and just squirted clay, just which you're welcome to do. That's carved, not scratched. This one's more scratched. So I don't want scratched, I want carved. Anyway, so you can see some good examples of carving and repetitive nature, and they filled up the entire surface. So I'm looking you to fill it all up, okay? This is interesting. They left it really thick, And they took their wire tool that you used to cut your clay out of your bag or the pot off the wheel, the wire, and they went in there. So it's very rough and almost looks like the side of a mountain or something. I showed you that already. There's a bunch of things in here. This looks like it looks carved, but it might actually be stamped with a piece of wood, just taking the edge of wood and going like this, because the wood has a thickness to it that can make it do that sort of a beveled look in there. This is added circles, like little coils, and then they stamped in between. Let me get a little larger here. This looks like it was stamped. A lot of these look stamped. This looks like it's clay added on, like octopus tentacles. This is clay added on and little coils put into little curlicues. Okay. And a lot of these, they glazed it and then wiped off the glaze off the surface to expose the clay that got into the crevices. So adding, stamping, I don't see a lot of carving here too much. That could be carved right there, that one. This is probably stamped. They probably had like either lace or a plastic rubber mat that they just pushed into it to make this pattern. It looks almost like a pine cone or something. So yeah, stamping can be really great. Lots of, that's such rich textures in here, huh? So I think that might be it. Yeah. So I hope that gives you some ideas. Oh no, I've got one more. Got one more, sorry. Maybe even two more. Is it showing up? One second. Yeah, there's someone here that didn't come out here. Making multiple page services. 28. I'm gonna go ahead and you might not show up on your screen. I'm gonna go ahead and open all these up again and get the right one. Sorry, hold on for 1 second. Hold that thought. Nope, didn't work. Hold that thought. I'm still here. You know what? I'm gonna pause. Well, I sure hope that works. So we're recording again, and I'm gonna share screen now and show you the rest of the pots. Okay, so again, this one is like the one we saw a little bit before in the amongst all the other ones, but they added circles of clay on. So this is a really great example of adding clay. So you can see very dynamic surface. It's not just like on the surface, it really pops out. This is sgraffito. Sgraffito is painting on colored slip. In this case, they painted black slip over white clay, and then they carved, in this case, carved designs in. And in this case, it looks like they scratched it in with a needle tool. So in other words, they have two colors of clay before they even fire it. This is carved through. So all these different styles of carving through colored slip, quite lovely. And they did the inside too, which is kind of cool. These are more, yeah, these are just painted on. So, but they're quite lovely. I like how free it is. It really, even though there's a pattern going on and layers, it's not, you know, just locked in. It's kind of fluid like the side of the pinch pot is. So it really has this integrity of a handmade and hand drawn. This is carved, and then they glazed it and then scraped the glaze off the high part of the ridge to get this different color. That's probably this raw clay that's exposed. This is carved in, and oftentimes some of the glazes will break over carving and turn lighter like that. There's so much here. Let me go up bigger. So we have, this looks like it was stamped in with a repetitive thing. Added clay, of course. They did two things here. They added clay and then they stamped around it. They carved clay and then stamped inside of it. They may have added clay here too, yeah? So it's sort of a combination, adding clay and stamping on top of it. This is carved. This is added clay, and then they put a painted slip on top of that. So you can really go to town on these if you want. I don't mind if you combine techniques like this. They can look really cool, just so it has sort of one major thing. Like this is mostly added, even though they have a lot of stamps in it too. But feel free to branch out a little bit like that if you'd like. Oh my goodness, look at that. I imagine what they did is they put a thick coil around and just pinched it out till it was impossibly thin. And this is really fine porcelain. If you do that, and again, if you try to get that thin, it'll start cracking, but it will still look beautiful. So that'd be something. I don't mind if you imitate these, right? Ceramics is a tradition of, you learn it by imitating. This is carved. These were carved also. And again, porcelain gets translucent when it gets thin. Black slip and then scratch through and carve through to make these designs. These are mostly painted on, but they're quite lovely. You get ideas for designs. This one was carved. I'm gonna go bigger on it. So this is, they added a coil of clay and worked it in. They made it square to begin with. And then to accentuate the squareness, they added a coil of clay and worked it in. So it's adding here, and then they subtracted here. They got their trimming tool out and just dug it out. Those are painted designs. And here's a person carving with with a trimming tool. So that gives you a good illustration of carving. Adding a coil of clay around and working it in. I imagine that's how they did it. They could have carved it in, but that'd be pretty darn hard to carve. I think you get more fluidity if you add a coil on, just letting it undulate around and then work it in. But lovely idea for adding. They take a wire tool, cut it. I think I showed you this last time, maybe but you take your wire, make it real thick, and then add your wire tool and just cut. Sgraffito again. And again, I like how there's, colored slip, scratch through, and it's just kind of crude, but it fits the bowl really well. They did the inside as well. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing. I hope that gives you some ideas. Again, make more than 4 if you want, and try combining some of those techniques. And you can look up if you want more ideas than what I've showed you here. You can look online, Google pinch pots. You can go on Pinterest and look at pinch pots. There's a lot of really crummy stuff on there too. A lot of cutesy animals, a little goofy eye. I mean, if you want to go that direction, I really want you to fill up the pot though. Cutesy won't really quite cut on this one. I want you to fill it up with design. Again, look at. So you have this lecture here. You've got the demo on how to do surface design, which shows you 3 of them, and then the visual rhythm PowerPoint. You want to look at that too before you start. Good luck. Shoot me questions on email, or we can arrange the Zoom, whatever you'd like. And otherwise, I'll see you in class, and I look forward to seeing what you do.